Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. I just want to take a moment to remind people to mute yourself if you aren't speaking. I am the Executive Director of Centennial State Prosperity. My name is Becca Whitson. Centennial State Prosperity works to advance economic security for hardworking Coloradans. We are here today to celebrate Senate Bill 205, the Healthy Families and Workplaces Act, going into effect for all Coloradans beginning January 1st of this year. Before we passed this landmark legislation, more than 40%, nearly half of Colorado's workforce was not able to earn a single paid sick day. This bill, passed in 2020, ensures that now all Coloradans can earn paid sick days to protect their health and their family's health, and that they also have access to COVID-19 leave. Under Senate Bill 205, Colorado workers earn 1 hour of paid sick time for every 30 hours worked, and workers can earn and use up to 48 hours of paid sick time per year. The bill also provides 80 hours of COVID-19 leave as the pandemic continues to surge across the country. This legislation took effect for Colorado employers with more than 16 employees in January of 2021, and has now, as of the first of the year, taken effect for all Colorado employers. We want to thank our legislative leaders who sponsored this important legislation. Majority Leader Steve Fenberg, Senator Jeff Bridges, Representative Yadira Caravero, and former Speaker of the House, Casey Becker, as well as all of the lawmakers that voted in favor of paid sick days, and Governor Polis for signing the bill. I'm very excited to be joined today by two of the bill sponsors, Senator Bridges and Representative Caraveo, as well as Colorado business owner Emily Aries, ER doctor Kristen Nortonholtz, and Colorado grocery worker Carol Macmillian. We also have on the call Jared Make from A Better Balance, who was a crucial partner in passing this law in Colorado. I would first like to turn it over to Senator Jeff Bridges.
Thank you very much. So no one wants a burger and fries with the side of COVID, but 40% of Colorado workers didn't have any kind of access to paid leave before our bill was passed. And that was especially true for frontline workers, for those folks that we were most likely to encounter when we went to the grocery store, when we went out to pick up food to go for a very long time during COVID. And so those frontline workers were the ones that were least likely to have that sick leave. And paid sick leave should allow people to stay home when they're sick so that they don't infect their coworkers, so they don't infect their customers. No one should have to choose between putting food on the table and doing what is best for themselves, their families, and our communities, and our Colorado economy. And so how does this work? The way the bill works is that for every 30 hours someone works, they're guaranteed 1 hour of paid sick leave. And that is now true for every Colorado employee in the entire state, whether you work at a grocery store, a small business, a large business, part-time or full-time. For every 30 hours you work, you will get 1 hour of paid sick leave. And that is up to 48 hours total per year. And as was mentioned, that's 80 hours under COVID. If someone during this pandemic, if someone comes down with COVID, then they get that extended period of time so that they have that time to recover. We know for a fact, we know with certainty that when people go to work sick, that is bad for our economy. The best thing we can do to keep Colorado open, the best thing we can do to keep our economy moving forward is to make sure that people can stay home when they're sick. And we worked really hard with those businesses, with those 60% of businesses that already provided paid sick leave for their employees. We worked with them to make sure that this bill didn't change what they had to do. If you provided paid sick leave at the rate of at least 30 hours, at least 1 hour for every 30 hours worked, this bill did not change your policy with your employees at all. But again, 40% of Coloradans didn't have paid sick leave. It was especially true for the people we encountered when we went outside to get groceries, to get food. And now all of those folks across the state have paid sick leave. It's better for them, it's better for their families, it's better for our communities, and it's much better for our Colorado economy. I'll turn it back to, Becca, the host has to unmute you, I believe.
There we go.
There we go.
Thank you, Senator Bridges. Thank you for your leadership on this bill. Next, I would like to introduce our next bill sponsor, Representative Yadira Caraveo.
Thank you, Becca. At the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, my colleagues and I took really swift action to provide paid sick leave for anyone impacted by the virus. We knew that we would never be able to recover from the crisis if Coloradans had to choose between their health, their family's health, or making ends meet. And so that's why we were quick to institute this legislation. And thankfully it was passed and signed by the governor so that everybody in Colorado now is covered under this law. As Senator Bridges said, 40% of people in Colorado did not have access to a single day of paid sick leave before this legislation was enacted. And those many times were the people who service food, who stock our shelves, who clean our public spaces, those who have cared for us throughout this pandemic. But we weren't just addressing COVID-19. We knew back in the spring of 2020 that the pandemic's disruption of our healthcare system would hinder preventative care and lead to other more serious illnesses down the road. So earned paid sick leave couldn't just be a crisis response. It was really a long overdue policy that we needed to make permanent. That's why we included provisions to expand sick leave throughout the last 2 years. Initially it was mandated just for those who had employees, more than 16 employees, but now every single employer is required to provide up to 48 hours of sick leave to their employees. And they can use this to recover from an illness, to seek medical care, to take care of sick family members, recover from an accident or an assault. And they can do it without the worry of being fired or not being able to pay their bills. As was said earlier, it also gives you 80 hours specifically for COVID-19 illness, which is important as the pandemic continues to surge across the country. I think we were hoping that it would be over by now, but that important protection is there. And it doesn't just mean that workers can stay home when they're sick. It also means that kids, like the ones that I see every day in my pediatric clinic, can get checkups and flu shots. They're less likely to go to school sick because their guardian can't stay home with them. Over the last 9 years as a pediatrician, I've had that conversation over and over and over. Your kid really needs to stay home from school. And a parent says, I can't afford to do that. I'm going to have to send them. And then I know that I'm going to see a bunch of their classmates down the road. I've been able to see firsthand the severe effects of COVID-19 and the strain that it has put families under their work. And I know now that this law is there to protect every single Coloradan. When people have paid sick days, it means that they're more likely to go to the doctor, get the care that they need, and stay home to prevent the further spread of the disease. We are thrilled that this legislation has taken full effect as another important tool to help us combat this pandemic.
Thank you, Representative Caraveo, for all of your work on this issue. And next, I would like to introduce small business owner Emily Aries of Boston.
Thanks so much, Becca. Hi, I'm Emily Aries. I am an author, a speaker, a podcaster, and the owner of Bossed Up, which is a career services and workplace training company here in Denver. I'm so proud to be here as not only a small business owner with employees, but also as a new mom of a 3.5-month-old who feels more urgently than ever before the importance of ensuring that no workers, much less my employees, ever have to make the impossible choice between taking care of themselves or a loved one when sick or coming into the office because they can't afford to miss a day's pay. As has already been said so eloquently here today, the public health benefits are really benefits for all of us when we can ensure that nobody has to make that impossible choice. I, as a business owner, also know that there's a growing body of research that shows happier, healthier workers are also more productive workers. No business should depend on a workforce that has to come into work while sick in order to operate business. I think it's our obligation as business owners, it's our responsibility to ensure a safe and healthy environment, not only for ourselves and our families, but for our workers and their families, and of course, our customers and broader community. So I'm thrilled with the new paid sick days law here in Colorado, most especially because of how it levels the playing field between large organizations who've long been able to offer benefit packages that include paid sick leave, and really small companies and small businesses like mine who now can compete in a very competitive labor marketplace because we all are offering paid sick leave. So I'm proud to stand here as a Coloradan, as a small business owner, as a new mom, and say that it's incumbent upon all of us to play a part in ensuring no one has to go to work sick and risk infecting others, whether we're in a pandemic or not. So thanks so much for having me here, and I'm proud to be here as a business owner, mom, and Coloradan.
Thank you so much, Emily. Next, I would like to turn it over to Colorado ER doctor and the state lead for the Committee to Protect Healthcare, Kristen Nortonholtz.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Kristen Nortonholtz. I've been an emergency physician for almost 30 years, and I'm now the state of Colorado lead physician for the national organization, which is called Committee to Protect Healthcare. As a Colorado emergency doctor, I've obviously been on the front row, and I've frontline and had a front row seat to the horrors of this COVID-19 pandemic, which is not over. We've learned many, many hard lessons during this crisis, and ensuring that all Coloradans can stay home when they are ill is really a critical tool in our fight against this pandemic. When people are forced to work when they're sick, or if they have to make the decision between putting food on the table or protecting their health, it does put the health of all of our communities in jeopardy. We did see this firsthand when COVID spread through certain industries, especially early on in the beginning of 2020, because sick workers were afraid to stay home. They were afraid they would lose their jobs, and thereby they rapidly spread this infection. And we saw this firsthand in the emergency departments. As a medical professional, I really want to thank our bill sponsors on the call today and Governor Polis for passing this Healthy Families and Workplaces Act that has now taken effect for all Coloradans. When people earn paid sick days, they are much more likely to go to the doctor and seek medical care. They are much more likely to take their kids for checkups and preventive care. And that means they can avoid an emergency department visit. We were not as prepared for this pandemic as we could have been. So let's not make the same mistakes again. To fight this virus and all future illnesses, and to keep the critical hospital beds open now, Colorado needs the security of knowing that people are staying home when they're sick, and that means allowing workers to earn paid sick days. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Nortonholtz, and thank you for all of your work on the front lines of the pandemic. I know it's been a long, almost 2 years.
Yeah, it has.
Finally, I would like to introduce Colorado grocery worker Carol Macmillian.
Thank you, Becca. Good morning, everyone. And I just want to let you know how excited I am to have this opportunity to, tell my side of the story. I'm a grocery worker. I've been a grocery worker for, I don't want to say how many years, long time. I worked through the pandemic and still working through the pandemic. And it's just, it's a horrendous undertaking. You know, we have to deal with that as well as all of the other day-to-day struggles. But it's really, awesome to know that when we're sick, we can take the time off, take care of ourselves, take care of our family members. I have grandchildren that I'm concerned about, and sometimes I go to work and I come home and I wonder, should I, stay home or should I visit? Or, it's always in the back of my mind. And it's just good to know that if I am sick or if one of them are sick, I can take that time to take care of them or take care of myself. I've seen what working in a sick environment does. It's, like I said, it's not a good situation. It's just really great to know that we live in a place where we have a Governor Polis, thank you, and the committee that came up with this bill, really care about workers, especially as a frontline worker, like I am working in the grocery store. We come in contact with sick people all day, every day. You never know, who has it, who doesn't. It can be a really scary situation. But thank God for this bill. We can take off when we need to take off, take care of ourselves and our families, create a safe, healthy work environment so that we can take care of our customers and our communities in a safer, healthier situation.
Thank you so much, Carol. It's been great to have you on the call and have you share your story. And thank you as well for being on the front lines of the pandemic. I know it's been a very hard couple of years and very stressful workplace, I'm sure. So in closing, I'd just like to reiterate, ensuring all Coloradans can earn paid sick days and stay home when they are sick helps keep all of our communities and businesses safe and open. And we'd now like to open it to questions. If you have a question, you can either raise your hand or put it in the chat, and my colleague Britt can unmute you. I know we have some great experts on the call here today who are happy to answer your questions if you'd like to open.
Not everyone all at once. Take your time, folks. We're very thorough. I think we did a great job, team.
Hi, Ray. Would you like to unmute yourself and ask your question?
Hey there, Rael and Michelle with Kaiser Health News. Can you discuss a little bit how compliance will be monitored? How will you know if people are really getting this from their employers?
Jared, are you able to answer that question?
Yeah, I'm happy to. It's a great question, Ray. Jared Make, Vice President of A Better Balance in our Colorado office. I definitely would say that the Colorado Department of Labor and Employment has been doing an excellent job both getting the word out and materials, as well as generally ensuring compliance and that the law is implemented as it was approved by the legislature. So the advocates that have been working on this have been really pleased to work with the state to ensure compliance and enforcement. And beyond that, there is an excellent coalition of groups that are working around the state to get the word out, to do trainings, provide information, many resources. Happy to put some of them in the chat or if anyone else wants to. But really a focus among organizations here in Colorado to make sure that workers are educated, as well as a lot of our business partners who are also working on the employer side to ensure that employers understand their obligations and how the law works. So we've been very pleased to see how smoothly the law has worked since it first took effect. And now that it's fully in effect, we expect that to continue.
Are there any other questions?
Yes. So just a follow-up from Raellen, can you confirm this applies to all employees regardless of if their employer is out of state?
Yes.
Yes, yeah. Senator Bridges beat me to it. Definitely, it depends on where the worker is. So workers in the state of Colorado are covered regardless of where their employer is based.
Employees in Colorado are all covered.
Yes.
Yep.
Thank you.
And just to the earlier question too, I'll say I've fielded a number of different questions from various different small business owners, both in my district and outside my district, who had just some questions about how they could be compliant with this. So there's great resources at the Colorado Department of Labor and Employment, great people there who are happy to answer any questions that business owners may have to make sure that they are doing what is right for their employees and for their businesses. And so always happy to answer those questions if folks reach out to me over email, but CDLE is really the best place for folks to go. But my cell phone's on my website, so shoot me a text if there's any other questions. Not past 10 p.m., please.
Want to make sure we're giving others opportunities to ask questions. Please go ahead in the chat or raise your hand. Okay. Anything in the chat, Britt?
Not currently, but we do have a resource shared from A Better Balance. So if you'd like to click that link, there's some more information that can be helpful.
Thanks, Britt. And if there's any follow-up questions about the materials, my contact information is on that page. We also do have a free confidential legal helpline for workers in the state of Colorado who are looking for information about their rights or how the law works.
Great.
Wow.
Okay, well,
Ahead of
there's
time.
Yeah. If there are no other questions, we will go ahead and wrap up. And thank you again to all of our wonderful speakers for joining us today. I know things might have been moving a little slower this morning with all the snow, so thank you for being here. And thank you for those interested in joining the call today. Have a good rest of your day.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye. Bye.